So hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's community call. And so this week, I've seen a lot of activity as it relates to PvP, and so definitely interested to hear what you guys have cooking here. I saw the devs have been, I think, every single night and morning. I see folks on the general chat hacking away doing stuff. So I'll hand it over to Ash and Sari to kind of talk about the PvP stuff they've been developing and working with the community to build out this week.
Yeah, I can give an overview. So, there's been a lot of things that have happened in the last couple of weeks. This is I'm just quickly looking at the changelog. So there's been, I think one of the bigger things that happened was this ability to do screen space UI on the screen, being able to put custom UI for things like action bars and backpacks and banners and all sorts of things on your screen, and buttons as well. It kind of just makes it a lot more. It makes it possible to do a lot more interesting things in Worlds. On top of that, we've added some base stuff for PvP and other health-related games, so that you can have player health, and things like player-to-player collision, which is optional, and being able to apply forces to the player, whether it's jumping on trampolines or pushback from weapons and stuff like that. In terms of the build. From a creator's perspective, the build mode has just a couple of improvements. So one of the things that was happening a lot was you'd accidentally delete something and have no way to undo it, or accidentally move something in the world and have no you basically screwed yourself over. So we added the Control-Z to undo anything that you've added, moved, or removed. And it's we can improve that. There's other things that you can undo and redo, maybe script and code changes and model changes and stuff like that, so we can improve that in the future. There's lots of anyone who's doing scripting, there's lots of improvements to that as well. Being able to send events directly to specific players, using UI image sources and stuff like that. Events for when apps get destroyed, so that they can coordinate with other apps. And being able to check if, any app can now check if a player is an admin, which means you can have different options that an app could do. If you're an admin, you might be able to set something or change something more permanent in the world, and you'd want to be able to check that they're an admin before you start saving those settings. That also brings me to the storage. So now worlds have a full-on database almost. It's actually a key value store, which lets you store data. So any apps can just store data for anything they need. I'm building a shop right now, a shop thing for the elemental system, and it lets you move where the action, the E to enter the shop, that thing, you can move that without going into build mode. You just click a button and set it, and that gets stored in storage. And we're also using the storage thing for inventory. So if your player collects a bunch of items around the world, then they show up on the action bar, and that action bar is persisted to the world folder, so that you can keep track of all that. If the world restarts or you refresh or whatever, they'll get back their inventory and can go from there. Which then leads into all these different game types that we'll be able to do. The action bar, I think, is going to be huge. It's taking a little while. I'm mostly just trying to make sure it's really good. There's apps that basically you have one app that gives you an action bar and a backpack, and it just handles all of the inventory of your items and stores it. But then you have another app that is a shop, and that shop lets you go up to it and you get a shop window and you can see all the things and you buy items, and that interoperates with the action bar app, the inventory app, and they all just work together. On top of that, there's a new all of these things that I'm building right now, I'm putting under the umbrella of Elemental, because they all use the same event systems to synchronize everything together. But the basic idea is that you can create an object, an elemental item, and that item can then go on the action bar and be compatible with all of that stuff. So if you wanted to, you can make a fishing rod that you go fishing with or whatever, and that would just automatically, if you left the right pieces in that code, would automatically work as an item everywhere else. So you'd be able to put that fishing rod in a shop, you'd be able to have it on your action bar, in your backpack, and persisted and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's been good because I've noticed like just little minor like discrepancies in the way that we handle events and stuff like that to make it more solid. So if anyone's working with event syncing across multiple apps, they'll see lots of improvements along like stability and stuff like that. But yeah, it's exciting times. I think this unlocks like it's just so many different things that we can do. I think in V1 we didn't really have any of this stuff, and a lot of people building worlds would just have these objects in the world that you could go up to and click, and you would equip it, and then you could only really have one thing at a time, and then you have to drop that item and go pick up another item. Or even like in the worst case, you would pick up one item and then you go to pick up another item, and they would just, both of them would be attached to your hand. So this kind of solves all of that, and it means that people have proper inventories and whatnot. But the thing that I'm most excited about is the fact that this is built in apps, and it's completely cut. It's not part of the core. It's just like one way that I envision it would be used. And anyone can kind of take that and go, no, I actually want a completely different version, or I want to modify it slightly. And you can do that all in apps without having to modify the engine. So yeah, it's really cool. I'm super excited about the things that it's going to unlock. And we'll be using all that for the PvP thing that we're building.
And so with those elemental things, is the vision that somebody can, in one world, like fish, gather out fish, and then go to another world to sell it at a shop or something? Could you describe that vision, how you would see people kind of building worlds to interoperate on that front?
That's pretty cool. I haven't thought a lot about how you would sync those things. So right now, the inventory and the items are all those are all apps that are in the world. And so it kind of just stores a reference in the action bar saying that, this app in the world it belongs to you and you and you. But there is like definitely a possibility where we can do things like that, where if two worlds had the same exact type of fishing rod, and you had that in one inventory in one world, that you could actually use that, have that same thing in another world. And they could potentially be powered by NFTs as well.
Yep, exactly. And instead of saying fishing and fishes, why not just say Hyperfizz? Go to a Hyperfizz store or 7-Eleven, and you grab a Hyperfizz from one world, and you go to the next and sit down next to the campfire and drink it there. And also in V1, I experienced that issue with the popcorn when I'm trying to sit down and watch. It has to be done in a certain sequence to be able to sit down and have your popcorn too. And so pretty neat that we're going to get this action bar that is going to be compatible across worlds and natively built within or available from the platform. And so, we got Umka and others talking about a shared database and things like that. So it looks like they have some buckets and Supabase to back it. Yeah, super neat.
Yeah, totally. You could do it like that. Sync them across worlds like that. Yeah, makes sense.
And so with the UI stuff, is that requiring changes to core, or is that all like native? I see that there are some hype files, but does that require any specific core changes or mods in order to enable that?
Any of the like custom UI you see on the screens?
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that's done in apps. So basically, there are a couple of UI nodes, and you can just an app can create UI and put it on the screen for any reason that they need.
Nice. And so when it comes to the PvP stuff, is that I know there's a whole team working right now on PvP. What is kind of what you see within the next week or so in terms of having a game loop running?
Yeah, so in terms of the PvP thing, so I'm bouncing between two things right now, and they're both related to the PvP. First is the platform, and that's basically just a launch pad for all of these things that we want to build and let other people build on. And that has the concept of being able to log in and have a wallet that you can use and all that kind of stuff. And then we also need to be able to have worlds that have all of that, the account stuff linked to it. And so it's not just using the core engine because we've got crypto and stuff related to that. So we have to have like a small layer that's on top of the engine that works with that, the platform's account system and being able to execute transactions and do that kind of stuff. And then the other side is actually working on all the pieces for the game. So the elemental system is just a collection of apps. You've got items, you've got shops and action bars and inventory and all of that. And so I'm just slowly working on those. Those will be usable by anyone. And the way that it's built is not crypto related entirely. For the PvP game, we actually wanted to do it such a way that you swap your hyper for like an in-world currency, and then the shops use that currency. So in our case, we'll have hyper to like something like gems, and then you buy weapons and gear and consumables and stuff with those gems, which are just like another item in the world that stacks or a currency. But other people might not even want to do anything. They can still use all of this stuff and have just like an in-world currency that you can run around and collect maybe. So let's say you just had like gold coins as your currency that all the shops had, that they could just like in build mode go and like duplicate gold coins all over the world that respawn on timers or something, and players can run around and collect those, and then they can go and use those in the shops. And so all that stuff would just kind of be set up. The only thing you would need is to drop an item in, swap the model out for a coin, and tell you like configure it to be like a currency in the shop, and then you've got this whole like thing you can build out.
So yeah, that shop sounds like that's the key area. That's where all the magic will come together. Where people go out active.
Yeah, the shop is just one way. That like you could just have items sitting around in the world that you run, like you walk over to and just like it picks them up for you and puts them in your inventory. The other thing that I'll get to at some point, because we need it for the PvP game, is chests. That you could just have chests like around with their own little inventories inside them. And you can put things in it or take things out, or the chests maybe even have like a loot table that it pulls from and respawns periodically with new items.
And then you'll have like a chance to get a legendary item.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could set up one chest that's way out in the middle of nowhere, hard to get to, and every hour it has a chance, like a 10% chance to spawn something that's like super rare or something like that, you know?
Yeah. And then just a bit ago, Sari was showing the Shifty's arena. I'm posting the video link there as well. And so that's I really like that UI, the game lobby UI that Shifty set up there. And so that combined with items will be pretty interesting and kind of get something going, and then I could go fishing and at lakes and stuff and exchange them for gold hyper.
Yeah, I think items kind of just can make things more interesting, where you play like this PvP game is really cool, and I found like we had a lot of fun running around and killing each other, and it's cool that it has things like block, and there's actually like a strategy to it. It's not just run around slamming like attack at each other. There's kind of like more to it. But like I think you can make like games more interesting by having rewards or just trophies. Like they don't have to be like physical upgrades, that like weapon upgrades and that kind of stuff. It could just be like, oh, I won a thing for killing somebody, and that's just a thing. That could be an NFT or something as well.
Oh, that's true. So we might need an elemental leaderboard type of thing, achievement
Sure. Yeah. That
set.
probably wouldn't even need to be part of the elemental systems. It could just be a separate thing. We had leaderboards in B1. We really should bring them back. Now that we have storage and UI and all that kind of stuff. If anyone wants to work on those, feel free.
That's a challenge to everybody that already has 100 ideas that they want to implement. And then I noticed, Sally, that you also released a pack of emotes and things like that for walking with guns and shooting. Do you want to kind of talk a little bit about what you got running on that front?
Sure. Yeah, so I just thought I've sort of like half made a first person shooter before, so I was just trying to see how far I can get with Hyperfy because we got a lot of new tools to make this kind of stuff easy lately. My approach is going to be like, I want it to be like Halo, kind of, where you just go up to it and a weapon, pick it up, and then if you die or something, then it gets left where you die, and then someone else can pick it up, and it'll keep the state with the ammo and all that. And then I'm also thinking that, like, the animation sets are going to be different depending on what type of weapon you're holding. Like, if it's a pistol versus a machine gun versus a sword or whatever, you'll just, like, have different style of animation. So when you pick it up, this is going to override all your animations. I just got finished with the rifle, but I obviously need to do more. And it was extremely easy, like, including, like, firing shots and stuff. This is less than 200 lines, and it's all synced. And, like, the animations, you don't even gotta worry about networking them for some reason. It's just, like... And it's a lot easier than even what I was doing in React 3 Fiber, which is less code than 3JS, so it's just kind of crazy. But this type of approach to making weapons, I think, is going to be a good one, I guess.
Yep. And was that code kind of the seed of it? Was it the stuff that I think Dr. Doge was playing around with, and I think it was Shifty, I think that was the launch party, or did you like do a rewrite and start from scratch?
I took a bunch of different stuff. I started off with just this, like, laser beam thing. I can't even remember what we were doing with it, but then I was like, oh, that's how you do ray casting. And then I took Dr. Doge's rifle. There's a few things there that I took. And then the animation override thing was, like, I've written player controllers before, and this is basically exactly how you do it. It's just that I didn't have to do much work, so that was fun. I gotta figure out how to do scoping, and we'll probably change to reticles at some point based on what you pick up, and gotta figure out jumping too. Right now it's kind of just like runs while I jump. Yeah.
no double jump. I know how much work went into the double jump.
Double jump would be weird in a game like this, I feel like, so I don't know. Ideally, I'd probably just have one jump and then it would just be normal. Something.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we got to call out to Shifty for dropping some awesome games. So definitely check out his shares on Showcase, and send him a tip as well. He's posted on the Hyperworld host platform, so definitely check out there and give him some salutes.
I think having this having like Sari doing shooting is really cool, because I think, like, first of all, I think we should definitely have a shooting game in the platform, but just like once you have all of those pieces that are set up and all the features to support that, then you just have a couple of apps that are weapons, and anyone can reskin them and create their own levels and, like, customize them just ever so slightly to get exactly where they want. Like, I don't know, the flexibility there is just, like, super cool.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And so at this point, I'd like to. Is there anything else on the development area? Things that people are experimenting with? You want to kind of see or hear from? I'm going to bring some folks on stage as well as we start looking at some of the hacks, or not. Sorry, not hacks. The hackathons that people have been participating in using it, the Hyperfy engine. So
Yeah, I
if I
think
can
there's
get
lots of people
Cheddar.
experimenting with different things. Like just before I jumped in here, Howie showed me how he's working on there's a few like random things that are kind of somewhat frustrating in the build mode. But Howie's just kind of like trying out a couple of different ways of doing that, and also looking at gizmos, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know. There's just lots of experimentation. We just basically throw stuff at walls to see what sticks and what things are core or what things become mods and stuff like that.
Yep. And related to the mod stuff, let me drop a link here, a call out to Peasy and Umka and May for putting together the the mod, a first official mod that Peasy didn't make from his hype package stuff, which is a way to extend, as you were saying, Ash, to like figuring out, is something a hype file, is something a core, that feature that needs to be made into the main core piece of Hyperfy, or can it be an extension mod that modifies something within the core that people can enable very easily? And so that I do want to call out real quickly. Let me see if I get this forward over there. So this is going to be an example of something May enabled through the Hype Package Manager. So hopefully this makes it through. And this is an example of a mod that unlocks Hyperfy, and so makes it even more open. And I think the idea here is that this plays well with vibe coding, basically being able to prompt and have raw 3GS stuff happen within the world. So call out to you guys for working on this mod stuff.
Apparently he made another mod to change the scale of the player. Is that a separate mod as well, Peasy? To change the scale of the player?
He said, cool. Yeah.
May, if I click that link, am I going to get rickrolled?
Yeah. Awesome. And so, talking about hackathons, not actual hacks and mods, we have our very own BitPixie, and then Cheddar also. We spoke with her last week about ETH Denver, and then she had another hackathon coming up. And so let's start with BitPixie. Can you hear us fine?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh.
Yeah, you sound great. Yeah. And so I saw you posted. I'm going to get that link real quickly, where you submitted for hyperparenting. Was that right? Is that the right official name?
I will share my screen if that's okay. And you can send a link in the chat. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see what we got. Maybe I'll play it without the sound. I can just talk about this. So I made this hyperparenting thing because I actually use AI for a lot of things, and sometimes I use it to ask parenting questions because I'm like, you know, the techie weirdo like all of us, and I'm just like, how am I humaning? So I thought when Jin was talking about councils and AI agents talking to each other, that this could be cool to have all different kinds of teaching and parenting education types to like compare the same problem. So we've got like Montessori and sports coach and forest school, and this eclectic one does all the different kinds together. And I just did this 1 minute quick intro about what it is. Miguel did the avatars. They are amazing. I want to win this Claire contest so that I can pay more builders to help me with with an environment. I was going to do it myself if I don't win. One thing I'm showing, I know this is a bit random, a bit different than what I was just talking about, but I wanted to generate a PDF for that hyperparenting with all the solutions, and like so that normie parents could try it and they could pay like $5 for the second PDF. So I needed to learn paywalls. So I created this app with Lovable, which is just like a little mind mapping app. And when you log in, then it has a paywall. It's my first time ever making a paywall and connecting it to Stripe, which you could also make one and connect it to MetaMask. But I just wanted to tell people, because I think this would be the most beneficial to any of you who are interested in creating a paywall, that this could be something like it could look like. And I just had Lovable connect it with the Stripe, and my secret key is not showing there. It would be here. And then you drop it in, and I have this connected to Supabase. So I have a backend, and it's creating these calls, and I learned all about this stuff because I'm not a coder. So I had to figure out authentication. And then the other thing, if you use Lovable and Supabase, that you want to pay attention to is when someone signs up for an account, the default email is so shit. It looks like this. So you want to change the styling of it right here. And that's kind of like, well, it's more steps than 3, but I'm showing like 3 steps here. So this was pretty cool. And then with the, premium, you'd be able to add your own colors and save your maps. So you can see, I'm not in test mode, so I can't show you, but you'd be able to see the maps all across the screen. The reason I did this was so that I was working on the PDF generator for hyperparenting. So that's where I'm kind of like, not stuck, but what's the word? Still working on connecting their brains, their JSON files, so they're all talking to each other, and figuring out, can I generate the PDF from within Hyperfy? Is there an external website it's sending it to? Should it be to people's emails? What should be the user flow for a techie person versus what should be the user flow for a normie parent at like another parent at the kindergarten at my kid's school, So I've been just planning that before I go further. Yeah.
Yep. And I would say that is one of the key things with the concept of the metaverse is how do you provide digital information in a way that helps deliver it regardless of a person's device and whether they're familiar with how to navigate a virtual world. It's the same information you want to get to them, and you have different ways to deliver. So it's definitely an interesting challenge you got ahead of yourself. It is one of the visions for folks that know how to navigate in a virtual world is for them to navigate in world, to visit each of those minds, basically to interact with them and kind of get advice or output from them. Oh, did we lose you a bit?
Oh, I hear you. I was just listening.
Oh, okay. Yep. So is the long-term version there?
Yeah, so I think this will be a long-term project, just slowly chipping away because I have other projects I'm doing. And yeah, just figuring out more research into how normie parents use their phones or computers and like how they would find this. Because I did get some stats that there are billions of parents with internet access in the world, and at least 30% are searching somewhat daily about something to deal with their kids. So that's a high percentage, and I think maybe not everyone's ready for AI or virtual worlds, but something
I think
they could
sometimes
try.
Sometimes I forget that people still like look up things on forums and Google things. Whereas
Yes.
I use AI by default for everything, including stuff for like anything related to my kids. Like my kid hit her lip on a freaking chair or something and popped the frenulum thing up on her top lip, and like I'm like, oh my god, there's like a hole in your face, and I'm like, the first thing I did was ask Claude if it was a thing that I needed to take it to a freaking hospital for, or if it was fine. And I'm like, it's just the default, and I just assume that that's what everyone does, but I don't think that's correct. I don't think many people do that.
Right, exactly. And I think it would be cute to take each of these agents and make a station so that, because a lot of parents that I know, they talk about different schools. Oh, should I send my kid to this forest camp? Oh, should I really pay for this? I don't know, all this stuff that gears towards parents paying more money. But yeah, different products and things. I think I could do affiliate marketing with it. People could look at the different stations and see what they should be focusing on. And it's supposed to be kind of a one-off. This isn't like a thing to use every day. It's just a fun, dinky little thing. Oh, I have a problem. I want to see this is cool. PDF. All right, $5, fine. I can learn about Steiner method. What's that? Okay, they use these objects and these things and this look. Maybe I should buy a sling for carrying my baby for attachment parenting. Like, I don't know. It could kind of go in a few directions. But yeah, can't wait I hope I win Claire's contest, because then I'll be open to hiring any of you builders and stuff for creating these stations. So that would be sweet.
Very cool.
Yep, definitely keep us posted on that showcase that you have. Oh no, you have it under Bounty. So I guess eventually make it over to Showcase, and then we could kind of track the story and get input and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that today. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And then Cheddar Queso, I am not sure if I was successfully invited you up to speak. Let me see if I get it. Oh, it's all right. It's all good. Pump that iron. Let's see, Boogie, Bogey. No, Bogey's not on. So we're all set there. And then one last thing there is, let me see, Valiant. I'm not sure if Valiant you were able to get lined up. If so, just you could raise your hand and we'll bring you up to speak. And let me see. I'll post a link of Cheddar Queso and Bogey from their hackathon, just in case folks missed this from the last call. Actually, no, they posted this intro. This is their pitch. We didn't see this before. We heard about it, but this is the actual pitch at East Denver that they shared the link. So give that a take a look at that. We talked about May sending up Unlock, and so definitely want to call out to Umka for organizing the Hyperfy How series. Really great series if you folks have not been seeing those. And on YouTube, we have those links. Let me see where I have that. Pretty sure it's here. I'm going to drop the link there. So this last one that was 2 days ago, that was covering the Hype Package Manager, and that unlocks mods and extensions, and also we got deep into conversations around the roll-up, the app roll-up, and then vibe coding. And so I'm not sure, Onka, if you want to also step up and talk a little bit about what you, the tutorial and kind of the topics around app and the documentation that you got running in Paint or anything like that.
I think
let me see if I can input.
These Hyperfy How things are really cool. It's just depending on, like, everyone is coming at Hyperfy from different angles and has different things, and I think some of them are like quite high level, like you have no idea what you're doing kind of thing. But then some of them kind of really get deeper into like core stuff and things like high package and being able to mod the entire thing. Yeah, I think it's really cool. Like it's just kind of like this kind of stuff should be recorded, and obviously having that stuff on YouTube just as a thing that anyone can go and see, because there's just so many things happening, and depending on what you're trying to do, depends on what you need to know, because there's just so many layers to it all.
Yeah, and through those mods, we're going to end up with a submarine machine side venture.
Yeah.
We got. I'm sharing on the chat here water that was enabled, the ability to from May, and I see if there's anything else. And then the Smicklebeard shared something very cool. He's been hacking away silently, so he has. I don't see him chat too much, but when he does drop links and videos, he's dropping like really neat things. So give that a check. I'm not sure if you saw this, Ash, or not, but this is him flipping some cards. So soon enough, we're going to end up with a tabletop.
Tabletop simulator. That's pretty cool. It's like an alternative take on everything, really. It just kind of takes over the whole camera, pointing down at a potential virtual game board. Yeah. Maybe with the new storage stuff, that wouldn't be entirely necessary. But yeah, I mean, it depends what you're trying to do, really.
Yeah, he has like an integration to the data integration to some sort of like a proprietary database or data engine, which is basically it looks and feels like a Google spreadsheet. And so an unlock like that, at least from my Web 2 background, dealing with data integrations and automations, it's very powerful to be able to get from an interactive environment where you could press buttons and things like that to get data out and kind of extract that data and send it somewhere else. And it should be as easy as bringing it into the system. And so it'll be pretty neat to see that his prototyping and where he ends up, and completely possible we will merge the real world with the hyper world, and we'll get all sorts of good phygital stuff going on.
Yeah, I think like board games and that kind of stuff are kind of perfect for this, because we basically just give you like multiplayer with avatars, and then you can just put whatever you want in. I always thought that playing like D&D in Hyperfy would be really good, because you're just dragging and dropping 3D models into the world, and maybe some of them are like boss fight interactive stuff, but you can just put things in the world and move them around. Like that to me feels like a D&D player's freaking wet dream.
Oh yeah. Oh man, that is the feeling. All you need to do.
You need a dice, like bunch of different dice, and maybe like stat boards and stuff like that. Yeah,
and really all you, and the other effect that we need, I think now that you're talking about D&D stuff, is when you pick up a model, it has to sway. Like when you move it has to sway. Instead of just like static, like move it around. I think that would be pretty neat. Let me see if I could. Oh no, I'm not gonna be able to join. So I can't share my screen. But if somebody can you guys share your screen to show the HUD, the Westworld HUD? Because I think that's something super cool that Dr. Doge and team have been able to unlock with probably the help of Luca too. I think you guys have been experimenting. If we get somebody to share the screen and drop in the Wasteland HUD app, let's see if you know what? Let me see if I can join the stage. Let's see if Discord will let me do this. So thanks, Dr. Doge. So and Dr. Doge, you want to come up and talk about the stuff that you've been experimenting with?
Oh man, we got the like compass thing going.
Yeah, let me see if I can do this. I'm gonna switch my headset and try to hear you guys still.
Just one thing I noticed is that I think the compass is the way that you're facing, but not the camera direction. But it looks really cool, and it's I think it's useful in bigger worlds where you're like, where do I go? Or if some NPC says go east, it's like.
All right, headset. All right, can you guys hear me by any chance?
Yep.
Oh, can you guys still hear me? No echo?
Yep. Hey.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yes, perfect. So yeah, that is the west kind of the UI, the compass, and a little health bar on the bottom, and then looks like some radiation. At least I got a radiation marker. Oh, because
Can y'all hear me?
yes,
Yeah.
we can.
There we go. Just loaded in. Yeah, no, definitely Ash. Yeah, the compass is still a little bit. It's off somewhat, but kind of like you mentioned earlier, we were testing it out a bit with some of the old companion and stuff that could actually locate things in the world, and kind of getting it fine tuned into there with that. But yeah, it's needs a little bit of work to it, but it is pretty much working there. I'm thinking about ripping it out and popping it in to just a standalone instead of just health bar, kind of like you just said, Maximus down below. The radiation at the moment is kind of just set up to work with anything else that essentially deals damage, like whether it's the sword, the fire, or the radiation barrels kind of up here. Yep, so I've just been kind of playing around with that. But yeah, I noticed that as well.
Just
Like
noticed the $100 at the top right.
yes, it was working there. I don't think there's any more in the world here at the moment. That might be him popping back in. It was kind of working like a pickup basis. Yeah, if they had something in the world that was considered that, you could kind of go over it and choose it and then pick it up, and it would go to your balance. But yeah, like I said, the HUD is actually kind of something separate. I went through and shout out to Howie as well, and Bogey. I mean, you see some of the fire campfires and stuff around here. Howie kind of went through and made a version that was damaging. So when you were near it or close it, it would go to and give you damage. And then we just kind of added that effect into, different environmental, aspects. And yeah, made it to this, and now it's here. But yeah.
Your experiments are super awesome. and so if I heard correctly, then even though you have like a radiation marker here right now, it's all tied to health, but your goal is basically come up with different meters, basically, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And so we've kind of even earlier, you'd went into some of the worlds with like Amka, and we were in there with like the Peasy and the small world too, kind of just trying to fit it. And that's another sense of why there's two different ones you had shared earlier with the rad zone and the HUD, and that was kind of what in a sense inspired it. It was maybe you could have it all in one, but it would be different, a little bit better. Maybe just have something that they could customize. Maybe you just want a health bar. Maybe you just want the compass. Maybe you just want something else. And the code on the rad barrel and the rad cloud itself was getting a little bit big. So yeah, I just split it up and went through with that. Made it kind of separate. So you might notice too, if you're in the world, there's also like a giant 100 and a heart above your head. That's from one of the weapons that's over here. So there's like multiple elements in the world at the moment, kind of similar to others. I mean, there's a lot of different people have been building some crazy stuff. Y'all have seen it. You mentioned it earlier, but everything kind of seems to work in unison with everything else. So yeah, kind of just depends on what you've got in your world. Yeah, see, and it's hitting right now. I think Ash is shooting me. And that's the one thing I hadn't gotten to work yet on my side of the rifles is the actual damage to it, but it actually, hits off, reflects, does impacts. And that's what those kind of particles you'll see now when he's shooting, going in. Oh, wait, y'all can't even see the screen. But yeah, you see ashes. Okay, perfect. Chip.
What I will forever love that you made Hyperfy bolts as the default.
The only way to do it, man. You got to. You got to.
Yeah. And let's see. Do we have? So it looks like Valiant can't come up to speak. Vincent, if you'd like, you drop your question out on the chat. Right now, I'm going to actually share my screen to go and show something that Valiant just dropped. So Ash, if you could pass it over to me, and I will, let's see, I think I got it. So not only got my audio working, I got my screen share working. So this is the butterfly there from Gen Arts, I think his name was. So definitely check out that in the Hyperfy all hype files.
That's really cool. I want to see the butterflies flying around, like just randomly all over the place.
Yeah, he on X he talked about how what he does is basically he kind of just like hides half of the wing and just randomly inserts butterfly to get that effect. So it's probably very good performance, good as well. And so what Valiant just dropped for us was an NPC Raptor. And so you guys can see the screen, right? Yeah. So he based this on the the prisoner that Meta Rick had created, and basically it uses the same loop of looking, and of course now it's in a wall, but right now it's looking to go patrol, escape somewhere else, and so
does it die if we don't feed it?
I think we have to hook it up to MetaMike's AI agent experiment. And so, and this is actually a VRM. So the most impressive thing, this is a VRM that he hooked this up to. So he's mentioning that it's a work in progress. And so definitely looking around. And this also, let me actually share here as well that this is, I guess, one of the first steps to getting to the point where he is absolutely we're going to have Raptors on motorcycles shooting guns. I think that's what he hinted at when he posted the image here. Let me pull up this image if I can. Let me see, copy. So I should be able to open this up. Let's see if it opens correctly. So yeah, so that's like him playing around like a week ago, right? Six days ago, he posted this as a joke, and then he just kept going and going on to it. And
it's not a joke. No, trust me, it is not a joke. Yeah, I mean, there's it depending on whose world you're in, you have to come prepared at these days. There's.
That's funny.
So yeah, so super cool stuff that that Valiant is putting together there, and I have lost track of my Raptor, so I'm now scared. But then, good thing is that we have these goats here, so the Raptor will probably get those and not me, I hope. But yeah, that is pretty much it. So does anybody else have anything they'd like to cover? I think we got all the links.
I got one more thing. Hold on. Can I screen share?
Yep, go ahead.
You're still muted. I don't know if you're talking, sorry. But yeah, just in terms of the PvP game and the platform, we got the first transactions and stuff working the other day as well. Yeah, that thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't know. There were like 4 people who were benching on this world last night for some project that just launched. And it's all custom too. It has like Solana, so they used Hype Package. And then they did this thing that lets you scale down your avatar. So you hold E to explore, and then you end up on here. And this is cool because it reminds me of freaking Gorilla Tag, because I don't know why, but like in that game you shrink down into maps and play each other. And it's like a huge environment, and then for some reason they just shrink down into, that's how they enter a game. So it doesn't let you get out of this mode yet, but it's just kind of cool. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How small can they go?
I don't know. I didn't build it, but
I'd be interested to see if it could be like almost microscopic. That would just be cool.
I mean, you
quantum
could.
size. Quantum
Yeah,
size.
I'm sure it could be.
And probably what you like, I can totally see an extension where when people shrink, like new types of objects that didn't really were completely visible start appearing as like challenges, like a PvE type of stuff. The shrinking stuff really reminds me of that a long time ago, the HCC lab or Steam lab. I forgot what it was called, but one of the mini games is like a tower defense where you're shooting a bow and arrow, and the way to go into it is it's like a little map like that you were just showing, and you click into it and then it loads you into that. But it would be super cool to be able to be a spectator looking outside, and then you have your little people actually fighting in the game, in that world. So that type of
cool.
stuff is really, really nice. And I know Sorry had to drop, but that was super nice to see that. And then the background, that sky reminds me of I forgot where that the nether realm or whatever it is in WoW. I completely forgot the name. It's blanking on me. The void
In WoW?
or whatever. Yeah,
the nether in Minecraft.
Yeah, the twisted nether. Is that what
the twisted nether? Yeah.
So that's a neat sky, but the scaling thing is super neat. Oh, how he does it remembers that. Yeah, exactly, man. That's super cool bow and arrow game. All right, cool. Is there anything from the chats, folks? Let's see what else there is. There is going to be an option to ride the Raptor. Oh yeah.
Oh, Raptor racing. Oh my goodness.
Raptor PvP racing.
Yeah, where everyone jumps on a raptor and you can like get upgraded raptors that run faster, and then you get guns on raptors and you run around shooting each other.
Where's Pete? Pete would love this, man. Where's he at? Yeah, I'm sure he's got some stuff working up.
Or what about raptor jousting?
Raptor jousting. Oh my god. And then a quick call out here, something that I saw Howie was kind of working on was redstone or something, like switches and flags and things like that. So definitely would be cool to see that integrate with the elementals, is to be able to have like two separate suites of apps that are able to interoperate with each other. So definitely, Howie, I think next week, please do come on and
yeah, please
show us
do.
what
That stuff you showed me was absolutely crazy with the redstone stuff. Yeah.
And then I'm also sharing another cool thing on the chat here, that this was a one shot with I think Claude, that Shifty, was it Shifty? I'm pretty sure it was Shifty that had. Whoops, I sent the wrong thing. Shifty, yeah, Shifty had shared this with us. Hopefully that got forwarded correctly.
The spinning rocks.
Yeah, the spinning rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vibe code.
So vibe coding is definitely around the corner. You guys, I think that's going to be a next tutorial series. Probably is how to set up the.
Yeah, if anyone is waiting to do AI prompted coding, I feel like it's definitely getting better over time, and a few of us have tried a few different things. I think Howie's cursor thing is probably the most mature of them all. But yeah, I think it's getting better, and eventually I think we'll have something that works really well, and then we'll probably try and put it in the engine itself once we know like something's going to work really good. Because it's like it's crazy. Like there's not a hell of a lot to scripting. There's kind of like a 5 or 6 different nodes that you can use, and then a couple of other things on the globals. But like once the AI fully understands how that stuff works, you can just kind of do anything with it. So we should be able to prompt anything soon. We just want to get to the point where it's a one shot for almost everything you do, really.
Yep, and I just posted the cursor. I think those are the cursor files, but I keep forwarding the wrong. Yeah, let me see. I keep forwarding. I think I forwarded the wrong thing. Are you guys? Well, we'll see if that's right. But yeah,
that's it.
That's a starting point there.
Very cool.
Alrighty, thanks, folks. T-Rex is almost ready. Nice. Take care. Bye, everybody.